Swaths of locusts usually come in waves in East African countries throughout the year, a cycle that, although challenging, farmers have learned to handle. But what happens when you get hit by both a massive plague of crop-devouring desert locusts and a world pandemic? According to a report by the Globe and Mail, East African countries could be facing a food crisis as waves of locusts have hit crops in the region since the end of 2019. A third wave of the insects is expected to hatch and spread in June and July. Just one locust can travel 150 kilometers in 24 hours and is capable of eating its own weight in crops each day. A small swarm of locusts, which could be around 40 to 80 million, can cover about a square kilometer and eat the same amount of food consumed by 35,000 humans in a day. On top of crops being impacted by the waves of locust plagues, Stephanie Hanson, a senior vice president of One Acre Fund, told the Center for Strategic and International Studies that farmers' incomes have also been affected due to restrictions put in place during the pandemic, which limit their capacity to sell food in local markets. The pandemic has also made it difficult for farmers to get rid of the locusts. Hanson noted that pilots in Kenya who fly pesticide aircraft are required to land at local airports before the national curfew is lifted. According to an assessment conducted by the Ethiopian government in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and NGOs working in the region, the spread of desert locusts has left around 1 million Ethiopian people in need of emergency food relief. What actions must be taken to help these people survive two crises at the same time? Well, among many other suggestions, the assessment states that people must be provided chemicals to deal with the locusts and other pests ravaging their crops, and of course, farmers need to be provided food supply for their livestock and agricultural input must be distributed. Slowly but surely, we are seeing all the side effects of this pandemic. Keep watching to find out what else is being affected by the spread of COVID-19. Times like these have made us realize the importance of frontline workers. All the people forced to work during a pandemic are dealing with negligent customers, stocking shelves in our supermarkets, driving our buses, providing health services, the list goes on. However, not all frontline workers are visible. This is the case of meat packaging workers, many of whom have been affected by the spread of coronavirus in their workplace. Due to the spread, several plants in the country have had to shut down, affecting meat production. This is what you need to know. A report by the Associated Press explains that efforts from the meat industry in the United States to curtail the spread of the virus among their employees have resulted in slower meat production, which will eventually result in less meat in the market and higher prices for the meat that is available. Pork production has been the most affected. According to the report, 15 of America's largest pork packaging plants are responsible for 60% of all processed pork produced in the U.S. This means that when one shuts down, overall pork production is severely affected. As of last week, pork processing capacity has dropped 25%. The Associated Press reports the U.S. Department of Agriculture expects beef to rise in price by between 1 to 2%, poultry by 1.5%, and pork between 2 and 3%. So, will we be seeing a food shortage emergency anytime soon? Well, it doesn't seem so. Jason Lusk, professor and department head in the Department of Agricultural Economics at Purdue University, told the AP, by and large, there's been enough food. You might not get your exact variety that you want or the exact type you want, but there's been food available if you have the money to buy it. But what happens if meat production plants continue to shut down? Who will be able to afford meat then?
The Chinese Wuhan coronavirus has gotten so bad around the world that even Nara deer are being affected. According to Sora News 24, videos popping up on social media are showing herds of deer roaming the streets in search of food. Usually, the famous deer of Nara are kept properly fed by the hordes of tourists. Unfortunately, the Wuhan virus has killed all of that. The dramatic drop in people visiting Nara have caused the deer to leave the park in search of food. Several TV news reports have shown deer sightings at unfamiliar spots around the city. Residents report that deer have been devouring shrubs and flowers on the sidewalks. Hopefully things will get back to normal soon, and if you happen to be in the neighborhood, be a deer and toss a few rice crackers their way.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the TomoNews family. Thanks for watching.